Hello everyone, myself Sukrishna. In this video, I am going to explain about how the UiPath Orchestrator queue items will be processed on the basis of priority and deadline. So let's get started. So these are the 5 scenarios that I will going to talk about. The first scenario, queue items with the same priority, either low, normal or high priority. In case in the queue, if we have a same priority queue items are available, so in that case, the first in first out logic will be applied. In the UiPath Orchestrator, I have created a queue with name test underscore same priority. So here I have mentioned 4 queue items with the same priority, that is normal. So let's see how these queue items will be picked up in the UiPath Studio. In the UiPath Studio, I have created simple flow. So here I am getting the transaction item. So if the transaction item is empty, so the process will end here. Else it will going to display the reference and the priority. So let's run the process. So it has taken the test case 1. So that is the first added queue item, right? And then test case 2, test case 4 and test case 3, right? Queue items with a different priority. In case in the queue, if we have a different priority queue items are available, first it will going to process all the high priority queue items on the basis of first in first out. Then it will going to process all the normal priority queue items and then all the low priority queue items. Test underscore different priority. In this queue, I have created 4 queue items. One is high priority and 2 are normal priorities and one is low priority. So let's see how these queue items will be processed. So here I am going to change the queue name. So let's run the process. So first it has taken the high priority. The reference number is test case 2. Right? And then it has taken the normal priority queue item. So in the normal priority, basically we have 2 queue items are available. In that also, it has taken the first added queue item, right? And again, we have normal priority and the reference is test case 4. Then low priority. Queue items with the same priority and deadline. In case in the queue, if we have a multiple queue items with the same priority and if deadline is mentioned, the earliest deadline queue items will process first. So here I have created one queue, test underscore same priority with deadline. So here I have created 3 queue items with the same priority and I have mentioned the deadline. So let's see how these queue items will be processed. So let's change the queue name, same priority with deadline. So let's run the process. So it has taken the reference number test case 3, so that is the earliest date. Then the earliest date is test case 2. Right? And last test case 1. The fourth scenario, queue items with the different priorities and deadline. In this case, first it will going to process high priority queue items with deadline. In case with this combination, if we have a multiple queue items are available, in that case, it will going to pick the queue items on the basis of earliest deadline date. Then it will going to process all the normal priority queue items with deadline, and then low priority queue items with deadline. In the UiPath Orchestrator, I have created a queue test underscore different priority with deadline. In this, I have added 5 queue items. So let's see how these queue items will be processed. So let's change the queue name, different priority with deadline. So let's run the process. It has taken the high priority queue item, right? So basically here we have two high priority queue items are available. So in that, first it has taken the earliest deadline queue item. So the earliest deadline queue item reference is test case 5. Then again it has taken the high priority queue item and the reference is test case 2. Then it has taken the normal priority. So as we have two normal priorities are available, so it has taken the earliest deadline queue item, right? And again it has taken the normal priority and then low priority. The final scenario queue items with different priorities with deadline and without deadline. In this case, first it will going to process all the high priority with deadline queue items first. In case with this combination, if we have a multiple queue items are available, on the basis of earliest deadline date logic, the queue items will be processed. Then it will going to process normal priority with the deadline queue items, then low priority with deadline queue items, and then it will going to process high priority without deadline queue items, then normal priority without deadline queue items, and at last it will going to process low priority without deadline queue items. So here I have created one queue test. In this queue I have created different queue items with different priorities with deadline and without deadline. So let's see how these queue items will be processed. So let's change the queue name. So let's run the process. So it has taken the high priority queue item and the reference is test case 10. So for the test case 10 we have a deadline, right? So with the high priority and deadline combination we have three queue items are available. In that also it has taken the earliest deadline date queue item, right? So let's click on OK. Then again it has taken the high priority and the reference is test case 2. Then high priority test case 1. The high priority and deadline combination queue items processing has been completed. Now it start processing the normal priority with deadline combination queue items. So it has taken the normal priority and the reference is test case 6, right? Click on OK. Then it start taking the low priority with deadline, right? Now the priority and with the deadline combination all the queue items processing has been completed. Now it start taking the queue items with only priority without deadline, right? So it has taken the high priority, then normal priority, again normal priority, and finally low priority.